morning everyone. Today's reading is going to be, do they think about you at all? So we're going to have a look at them, how they come across, the situation between the pair of you, their thoughts and their feelings, and maybe something they regret and some past memory that they hold on to. You've got 3 cards, mainly for the pictures rather than the meaning, so just decide which picture you like rather than the meaning. Card number 1 is a Chariot, if you like any of them. Card number 2 is the Hangman. Card number 3 is the Lovers. Okay, so if you want to take your choice, then we'll get moving. Okay, this one is quite easy to, I'm going to say easy to read, but I might actually prove that wrong. This is quite easy to grasp, I think. This feels like some sort of grand passion of somebody who's got a very strong ego, somebody who falls in love wholeheartedly, this is them, somebody who likes to run away when they do fall in love, you know, to run with it, I mean, rather than run away, and it's somebody who's incredibly hurt. So do they think of you at all? It's almost like a mixture of ego and hurt and wish that it actually worked out. The Ten of Swords at the top here in Eros. Ten of Swords makes me think that you definitely, you know, there's a huge, very easy, can't speak. I'm about to say, it just feels like it's cut off big time. Eros here is a feeling of a passion. Yeah, Eros is fantastic. I always think Eros is totally underrated because it's like we talk about Pluto, we talk about those feelings where you feel like you can't breathe. Eros is exactly the same, but it's got that giddy kipper feeling about it, I always think. My sister said to me the other day, why don't you try this Wim Hof turning the shower down and seeing, you know, how you get on so it's really cold. So I'm in the shower and I've done this about 5 times and I just turned it down totally cold, as in not like squeaking it down bit by bit. Oh my God, you can, it's honestly, it's horrible. It's not because it makes you laugh like being on a roller coaster, but it's you can't get your breath at all. With a really heavy Eros contact with somebody, it's exactly the same feeling. This person walks in on you, or you walk in on them, or they're there and your body overtakes you as if you don't even know what's happening. You can't control yourself. It feels like catching your breath underneath a cold shower. It's jumping in the sea. So I'm wondering whether this person got quite engrossed in you, engrossed sounds like a bad word, doesn't it? But basically it got to the state where the pull towards each other was huge and then it ended. You've also got the card over here for Leo, which is making me think that this person has a very strong ego. So when they expect people to be attracted to them, and if for in any reason whatsoever they get a cold shoulder, it's not a case of like analysing it, it's a case of how dare they. You know, you give Leo a cold shoulder and it's like the ego flares like nothing else. Yeah, if you try and get in clubs when you're younger, you know, when you're about 17, when you're not meant to be going in, I've got Leo friends who I used to try and get into clubs with. You know, you're basically, we looked about 10 when we were 17. And if any of the bouncers would ask my Leo friends, you know, how old are you? How dare you ask how old I am? It's that type of reaction when I'm like squeaking and trying to get out some sort of rubbery passport out of my back pocket. This is like a Leo reaction to being bruised, I think, with regards to what they assumed was affection that was in the pot or in the basket, or basically it was theirs to, you know, to have. Not a case of I've got one up. It's a case of, yeah, somebody else loves me. My mummy loved me. My daddy loved me. You know, this is somebody else that's come into my life and I think it's going to be really good. It feels like, you know, a kid looking forward to Christmas. This is going to make me feel really bad, isn't it? So do they think of you at all? So far I'm getting the impression that their attraction towards you, their feelings towards you were grand. And that is probably the word I'm thinking, grandiose in some way. It's like a theatrical performance that they're right in the middle of, enjoying it. And it's what they wait their whole life for. So in you come, this is what's happened. And then there's a feeling here of possibly being part of a group. There's a feeling of nurturing each other and everything just feels fine. So the situation from their perspective is incredibly strong draw, a feeling of looking after each other, you know, I say this often, but having each other's back. The Empress and the Leo, very paternal and maternal feeling here, and somebody who lets you know it, somebody who says, you know, you're really attractive, I'm really glad you're in my life, that type of feeling. Three of Pentacles here, possibly a work situation, possibly just going around in a group. And the Prince of Swords here, this one in particular, is like everything just feels right. This is like the type, you know, like that John Travolta opening scene in Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever, when he's strutting down the streets. It's got that feeling. I think your person probably has a strut about them. They may be the type of person who walks around with a puffed out chest. You know, somebody who's always smiling, somebody who hugs people when they see them, somebody who encourages kids to, you know, do really well and does it from their heart. And when they fall in love, they fall in love, and they fall in love with you. So the situation from their perspective, regards to your contact, was, you know, great. That's the way it should be. It's like, yeah, this to me, you know, I find this energy really interesting because I think I really like it. I just like, and you know, it's like the ego's involved there, and you know, most of the time it's going to end up being some sort of channel 4 play, because you can't keep that up. You know, nobody can give that much to a Leo all the time. You've got to almost like keep stroking them, not in that way, but almost like making them purr, not in that way. But it's just like, there's always like, it's quite delicate in some ways, but you want to keep it going because it's so childlike. And, you know, to open somebody's heart or to bring the best out of somebody is precious. And you can see that you're part of that and you want to keep pulling it. So anyway, this person here feels that you were part of that. Now, their feelings towards you are heartache. And this is how they think about the situation, because you've got the Ten of Swords at the top for them, which with that Eros there is attraction and passion and igniting something very creative in them. It's like their world opens up and it's like a game to be played, and you two are there on the game board at the beginning and what you're going to do. It's excitement. Then you've got the Ten of Swords, and for feelings you've got the Three of Swords. So this person's incredibly hurt. And I'm assuming the Leo and the Eros there's some way you've blocked their passion, some way that you may have bruised their ego. And their past memories are mainly, with regards to you and how they think about you, is the incredible pull. It's even more than the bruised ego. It's even more than the heartache. Heartaches are more feelings, thoughts are more, I don't often feel that way towards somebody. It feels like almost like love at first sight, but it's not that sort of can't speak. It's like this person probably is quite confident in love, because this person waits their whole life to fall in love. And fall in love always sounds a bit glib, but it's just that attraction when you just start opening up yourself and you start giving more and you start brushing your hair. It's that type of feeling. And this person almost like does honestly feel that, I think from these cards here, I don't know if this rings true, that is just part of them, part of their personality, part of the thing, part of the reason they wake up in the morning. And when they think about you, what they think about is that I don't get that very often. You know, that person really got me going. There's something to do with possibly communication, conversations that made them feel good about themselves. I'm having feelings here of a guy that we used to have in a village we used to live in, an older guy who was, I guess he was Pisces, but he always, I think he was Pisces Leo. He just had a strut on him. He loved to be with people. When you think, you know, I used to go and speak to him in the morning, I think, oh, he doesn't want to speak to me. I'm there in a dressing gown or whatever. I think he doesn't want to speak to me, you know, and he's there and he's like, oh, hello. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to have to talk now. And he's a really, really warm person. But as long as you are recognising him, we're going to say, oh yeah, we used to call him Don Fanucci out of The Godfather, the guy who basically pretended that he, you know, came from Sicily, wherever he came from, and brought all his I could say rituals with him. Basically, he was strutting around as if he owned the village, and that was why we called him Don Fanucci. But it was from a nice place because he did honestly own the village. Everybody knew who he was. He gave time to people. There was warmth there. He was like a character, you know, like a character out of a film. But that's why we loved him, because he was that character, and he was warm and giving, and he was interested in people. He just loved to be with people. I get the feeling that your person's like this, and they, when they think about you, it's like that person was beautiful. That person made me feel excited when we used to talk. It was like it all kicked off. It was all how it was meant to be in this person's mind, what they were born to do. What do they regret? I'm guessing here with the Ace of Spray Cans, which is the Ace of Swords. Something, and I don't know which way this goes. I was going to say it was them. I was going to say maybe something they said cut you and hurt you. But the fact that they are thinking of the situation with the Three of Swords and the Ten of Swords, I'm wondering whether you hurt them. Maybe you said something. And when you can do this to a Leo extremely easily, you can almost like set this feeling in motion from not phoning them on a night out, or you know, when you're on a night out and you're busy with your girlfriends and not calling them, or it's something that you possibly, especially if you've got like a fire or air inside you, you wouldn't even know what you were doing. This person's really hurt. You possibly could have done something that bruised their ego with regards to communication, as I'm thinking that, not phoned them, or something you've said, oh, I don't actually need that much contact. You know, I was doing this, and it's really hurt. Very delicate egos with Leos. The Six of Buckets here, their past memory is, this is really childlike feel. It's really sweet feeling. The Six of Buckets with regards to how they remember you very much goes with this card here, which is the Eight of Wands. I have to think, Eight of Arrows, I was about to say. Where it's affection, it's the ability to connect, it's the ability to talk, to be exciting, to chat. But most of all, I think with Eros here in the Eight of Wands, it's the physical pull towards you that they most regret having to let go. You know, and Leo, they're like a performance. And I don't know whether they actually got that from you, because this is Sagittarius, that's Leo. So there's something here with regards to their past memory. You know, that could even be like playing forward sex. You know, with Leo and Sagittarius there, those two wouldn't hold back. And it would be something they would be, oh my gosh, sorry. I think my dog's stealing better from upstairs. The Leo and Sagittarius would be something that is easily expressed, passionate, open, loud, probably, and they enjoyed it. And it's just feeling that is probably one of the memories that they probably would want to have that situation back, but there's hurt here. Okay, right, I'm just going to go through this panel. I've fed my way through it and start to sum it up. I think that your person thinks the situation ended. There's a lot of hurt there, a huge amount of hurt there. This person feels like in some way that their heart's been broken. In some way, it just feels as if, I don't know what level that is, but they feel as if they've been really, I'm going to say stabbed in the back, but it's just heartbroken. This has got a childlike feeling of somebody who gives openly, who loves openly, and has been, to be honest, really hurt. There's passion, there's warmth here. There's like somebody's found the person that they waited for their whole life. Not, this sounds really rude, but not because you are that person. There's only one. This person, once they open up to somebody, they give to them totally, I think here. There's a feeling of possibly being a situation, you all being part of a group maybe, but there's a real, don't know about that, but there's a real feeling here of complete openness and nurturing, and the feeling I'm thinking from there is unconditional. And I don't know whether it's quite childlike, and I'm feeling like, you know, you may be, if this rings true, maybe blaming yourself in some way, but to me there's no reason to blame yourself. This is just somebody who possibly opens up, expects too much too soon. And that is part of their nature. It's absolutely beautiful. But when things go wrong and their ego isn't stroked, you can't blame yourself for not being there all the time and giving 100%, because it's just not possible. And in some ways, this person needs to grow up and think that is life in some ways. You can't give to one person totally all the time. I think the biggest draw here, and when they think about you, is to do with the pull, to do with the passion, to do with the excitement. It feels as if it's almost like a Sound of Music play, when people or that type of musical where people fall in love and the music starts and the passion and the sex is great and it all starts rolling. But I think that maybe they also think about a regret of something that was said, because communication is a big thing here. It feels like you both said what you were thinking whenever you were thinking about it, and it was good. Most of the time it was good, but there was possibly one thing, one sentence that they said or you said. I'm thinking more you, because they've got the Ten of Swords and the Three of Swords, but there's still a feeling of a connection there. It just feels like somebody fell in love with you big time, and it went down a road that they didn't expect, because they're quite positive. The way they think is quite positive. That's not really good English, but they just think good things about good people every time. And every time they possibly, with this pile here, end up in the same situation, scenario where they're easily bruised, and it's like, I didn't expect that. And they probably do, they're just not very aware, because their personality is so strong here. Eros and Leo, to me, feel like a big, paired together, a big, loving, open personality trait that get taken away with things. And I think they probably bounce back. But Leo, of all the other fire signs, I think bounce back the slower, or probably they're far easier to bruise than Aries and Sagittarius. Aries and Sagittarius are a bit like puppies, where they get stuck in and it's exciting, and then they get knocked back and they get up again, they do it the next day. Leo's slightly different. Leo's, I would put a little bit of a sulky air on this person. They don't have to be Leo, but I guess once something's been knocked back, somewhere they're not accepted, there's a bit of sulking going on here, and it's got something to do with communication, which I think 90% of the time was extremely passionate, extremely exciting, but something was said, and it makes me feel like it's one phone call, one sentence, or maybe one missing phone call with this feeling here. And it's like, well, if they loved me, they would have done this, or if they were drawn to me as much as I'm drawn to them, they would have done this. So this person does think about you. There's a feelings here of regret. There's feelings here of it not actually carrying on how it started. There's still sweet feelings. And for a Leo, I often wonder this very last 5 minutes, whether they would keep the door open for you, which is quite a thing to say for Leos. Because the Six of Buckets there is nostalgia. You've got the Empress there, which is having and holding in some way. So sweet feelings, kind feelings, feelings of love, but feelings of being hurt big time as well. And that's what when they think about you, that's the type of thing they think about. Passion, draw, excitement, you being the one. And then I'm guessing here something's come between you, things said or left unsaid. This person's got a big ego and is bruised, but there's still, I guess, a sweet sort of connection there in their mind that they would like to get going again, but it feels as if something has to be cleared, because these two cards here with regards to them are big cards for pain, and the Ace of Spray Cans, which is the Ace of Swords, is in the position for regret, and that has got to do with communication. To me, it feels like communication. This is a great pile. This is the type of pile. I don't know, I haven't got Leo in me, but this is the type of pile. Just feels fantastic. And which I think is almost like in a childlike way. And I always wonder where childish and childlike draw the line. There's a feeling here that, it just makes life fun, doesn't it? When you fall in love, really fall in love, like you can't think of anything. I remember talking to a boy, Pisces boy in school, and I must have been about 10. I was still primary school, and I had 2 boyfriends at the same time, which was absolutely fantastic. It never happened again, I'm sure. One was Pisces and really sweet, and one was a complete and utter... Anyway, The really sweet one was saying that he'd basically fall in love with me. I love this. And bought me like little teddy bears and things to school. And he said, I can't sleep, I just can't think of anything else. My family had taken the mickey out of me, saying that I'm still in touch with this boy, telling that, you know, I've just love lost or whatever it was. But that to me just feels like Pisces and Leo together, they almost go into another world where they just give, and it's, you know, it's beautiful and it brings the best out of them, but it almost feels as if they haven't got a mattress to fall back on. It's like when they fall, they hit concrete, which is, to me, feels really hard. And this person, I think, somehow feels like, I don't think you have done that much. I think you've probably just done something that is quite very normal. They feel like they've hit concrete, because to me this feels like a warm heart and a delicate ego. And this person's got the situation starting, thinking, this is going to roll, this is going to be fantastic, this is going to be like some grand, I don't know, some grand love poem that's going to basically blossom. And there's a feeling here of physicality here, and I've met the one, and it's a type of person that puts their arm around you when they introduce you. But to me, when they're thinking about you now, it's a case of that person, you know, I wish they were still here. It's a shame that thing happened. But it's also, not defensiveness, it's like hit concrete, got back up and starts flowing again. You know, starts being Don Fanucci again. Let me do some advice. I don't do advice very often. Because even my kids put their fingers in their ear when the advice comes out. Nya, 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 it makes silly noises. You almost feel like doing advice for them, because I feel like your feeling here comes across as knowing this already, or being in a situation where you can see it quite logically. This person feels like they live for love and feel like they've died for love as well in this reading. Okay. The advice for them is, to me, I'm guessing here, a feeling of, you know, this feels as well with the Pentacle cards, and you've got the Three of Pentacles here and the Queen of Wands. There's a feeling of them having to understand that people give in different ways, and they've got to bring it down to earth. They've got to work on themselves. There's a feeling here of not having their head in the clouds so much. You know, the Queen of Wands can come across in so many different ways. There's still the fire, there's still the passion there, even if it's like an Aries feeling or a Sagittarius feeling, where you can, you know, be excited but move on very quickly. Leo is fixed, so they get attached and they want to stay attached. It's almost like they need to know that you can still get that fire out of life, even if basically they've just got to understand that life isn't a fairy tale. Yeah, it is, but it's not. It's working on themselves to be more realistic. It's working on themselves to not have such a delicate ego. It's like bringing the fire out of themselves, recognising other people in its many different forms, not just the one that falls in love and ends up wailing in the bedroom cupboard when they're not adored every moment of the day. That's what I'm getting from that, because it makes it concrete but still recognising the fire. Advice for you is to get back to it. The advice for you is to... This is a strange one, this one, so please don't take this totally to heart, but the King of Cups here, and I know Leo isn't the King of Cups, but this is somebody who uses their heart, which I've talked about all the way through this reading. The Queen of Cups is looking, you know, I love these cards. They have no borders, so to me, if you line them up, they're like a fantastic story. These are the best cards. They're like very cheap, but they're one of my favourites, because she's looking at him. There's no boundaries between it. He's looking at her. They're both, you know, they've both got good hearts, and it just feels like, to me, if there was advice, I'm not going to say, you know, get in touch with this person again, because I don't want to put anybody down that track unless they feel it themselves. But it feels like if there's regret there, or if something's happened between the pair of you, it's to let it go and connect again, connect with your hearts again, connect, you know, that sounds a bit cheesy, doesn't it? It's let go of the small things, is what I'm trying to say. Let go of the small things and just open yourself up to this person. It feels like you almost expect to get a healing card out for them. And that's probably what I was interpreting this very sort of down-to-earth card with the Queen of Wands, that they need to get in touch with reality, really, with regards to love. You know, I was talking about that little boy in school who said he couldn't eat or couldn't sleep. Oh, bless. I think that's the first and last time that's ever happened to me. And yours is to... This feels like measured, mature, loving, rather than just getting engrossed and stuck in the passion, which you may have done too with these two cards here. I feel like I'm going on for ages here. I'm going to start wrapping this up. So what do they think? Do they think about you at all big time? This person thinks of the passion. This person thinks of the connection. This person feels that they bruise. I don't think you've done actually that much to bruise them. There's complete and utter, I would say, heartache, slightly distraught feeling about them. They reminisce about you. They think about you a lot, and it's all good apart from... They don't think they blame you for this. I think maybe they may realise that this is a pattern that happens because their thoughts and their feelings towards you are upset, but still the Six of Buckets here is a Six of Cups. It's like good memories. It's like, I wish that person was still in my life. They were easy to talk to, and there's a really strong, passionate draw. I'm going to finish there because I feel like I've talked for ages. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, this one's got an unusual feeling of being like a secret crush. Do they miss you at all? It's a feeling here. I don't know if I'm right because I haven't looked at the cards properly. It's just feelings, thoughts I was getting as I was putting them out. Of somebody that didn't do much about it. It feels like it didn't get rolling. There's questions still to be asked. And are they missing you? It feels like regret of not doing enough. Let me see. Situation from their perspective would be, yeah, there may be family involved here. There may be a feeling of an establishment in some way. It could be a work establishment with the Ten of Pentacles. It could be that they're already in a family situation or some situation that feels like it's got boundaries and it's those boundaries are almost stopping you being together possibly. There's feelings here of... I'm going to say lazy. It's not lazy. It's like lying low and watching and working slowly. You expect to see that card in this pack where the spider's weaving its web. It's like somebody that's watching you. It's somebody that's interested in you. There's probably some contact, but it's minimal. There may be boundaries here. You've got the Hangman up here once again, as to that feeling with regards to them, looking at you or the situation between the pair of you as it being a lot of trying to understand and less action than there should be. Neptune third house to me speaks of somebody who's extremely good at fantasizing. Somebody whose thought processes are very creative, very imaginative, and that may come out in their speech, that may come out in their job. They may write something, their job may in some way be very creative or incorporate. It feels like a fiction writer or something like that, or somebody who talks for a living, or somebody that's very charming, somebody who is very... a philosophical feeling with the Hangman there and Neptune in the third house as well. Somebody who understands, somebody who has quite a soft heart, somebody who talks the talk, but there's some sort of, I wouldn't say blockage is too strong a word, it's like there's something in between the pair of you where this relationship wasn't fully expressed. So are they thinking about you at all? Let me see. Their feelings are you're not there. The feelings are that you are somebody who had a soft persona, or there's some way that you connected that made them feel as if they could trust you. There's a feeling that you've got a gentle personality, very sweet nature, somebody who accepts people as they are, and somebody who's very warm, and that you're not there. What's that awful song? But you, oh my gosh. Do you remember All the World? There's one song in there. My mum used to play it all the time. You're not there now. It just feels like you're not there. Their thoughts are, oh, good heavens, I really fell in love with that person. Why didn't I move? You've got here the Ace of Cups with regards to their thoughts and the Hermit. Ace of Cups is like an explosion. It's like falling in love. It's like an explosion of emotion. Explosion of emotion across the ocean. It just feels like when you fall for somebody, you actually have these feelings inside your heart that you don't get every day. Sometimes you get, when your kids are asleep, if you've got kids, or your dog, or your puppy, or your stick insect is asleep, whatever you've got, and you look at them and they're in their most vulnerable moments, are they? Like sleeping, or, it doesn't have to be just sleeping. Just when I said vulnerable moments, when you see somebody you love in a vulnerable moment, you can feel it in your chest, can't you? It's like, the thing that springs to mind here, and I know that I'm going to sound like an old granny, is when you see your kids when they're really young and they're being brave and they're talking out in public and they're standing there and you can see that they're nervous and your heart is almost like squeezing to chivvy them along a bit. It feels like this person has that reaction towards you. It's like, I really fell for that person. It felt extremely strong. The Hermit card here is, to me, with the Hangman, too much reflection, not enough action. What's that Elvis song? A little less conversation, a little more action. I'm like, all my songs are so old. I don't listen to music anymore as much as I used to. I really used to all the time, and now I just don't. And it wasn't Elvis I used to listen to. I did used to kiss my Elvis poster at night when I was a kid. A bit of an Elvis crush going on there. I still have. 6 of spray cans. What they regret is moving away. It feels like this person hasn't, when they think about you, it's like they haven't healed from the situation. I don't mean that it's something very dramatic, that, you hurt each other. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like they didn't assert themselves enough. It feels like they wish that they had, and that's what their thoughts about you are. I wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that, why didn't I act more? Because it feels to me at the moment, their past memory as well is the 4 of spray cans, which is the 4 of swords. You've got that up here. There's like no action. There's too much contemplation. There's too much fantasizing. There's probably some sort of boundaries. And I think this person has a very timid, or I could say stoic nature there. I don't even know what stoic means, but I quite like using the word. It feels as if somebody... it's either a plodder. One of life's plodders, one of life's people who are quite tentative. I have a family member like this. I'm not going to say their name because it's probably not as positive as most things I say about my family. And there's like, he will text me and the conversation will be something on, are you concerned about your heating bills? That sort of thing, with what was happening at the moment with electricity and gas. He's so lovely, but he's just very much, likes life to be safe. And I get this feeling from your person, whether male or female, they like life to be safe, and they didn't do what they felt they should have done to keep hold of you, is what I'm thinking. You've got so many cards of fanning around, as my mum would say. It really does feel like this person is quite charming, very sort of diplomatic, very smooth-natured, very good at connecting with people. It's like a Pisces, Gemini feel. So there's the mutability there, but it feels like there's a Cancer moon in there somewhere or something like that. Or some fixed sign or some earth here. And this person has fallen for you, fantasized about you, and they're probably still thinking about you. They'll come to this in a minute, but there's a regret about that they didn't do enough. And their past memories here, and this is what they are thinking. Ace of Cups, the Hermit is, I internalized too much, but I fell in love. And there's distance. And I'm guessing there is huge regret. So when this person thinks about you, it's regret. It's like I think as well, the death, rebirth and Queen of Cups here, their feelings towards you have been quite shocking. And I think you've been very open with them and they've internalized it rather than giving it you back. I mean, Neptune's fantastic at fantasizing. The always thing about Neptune, when you get it, especially, people who have it close to their MC, they go into a job and in their head, they are basically the boss. They don't do much about getting to be the boss, especially if there's not a lot of fire or earth in there. But in their head, they've almost imagined it. It's that people fall in love with Neptune. They really fall in love. And they don't need to act on it. It's just in the whole creative process in their head. This is why Neptune people and Pisces make such fantastic artists, because they can play with so much information in their head and bring out a picture. But you've got to have something else in the chart there, which we all have somewhere, to bring out that imagination and that creativity. The third house person, this person could be creative. And I'm thinking in terms of the way that they get that information out, the way that they do communicate or the way they express themselves. There's a feeling here of being like an art teacher or somebody who speaks in public or just somebody who's very good at communicating. And these two cards here together make me think of charm, make me think of somebody very charming. People fall in love with this type of person because when they talk, it's normally peppered with romanticisms in some way. And the Neptune here is normally a softness, and the Hangman here is something that doesn't push their personality. But with regards to you, what do they regret is that they didn't push their personality. I don't know what was in the way because there's lots of pentacles here. It could be financial issues were in the way. Perhaps they couldn't leave a situation because they weren't financially sound. Perhaps they didn't move towards you because you already had a family or there were children involved somewhere. And it feels like there was communication. It feels like it went well, but they wanted more and didn't do it. And there's regret in this one. It's regret that it ended or the situation isn't where it should be when you actually were really open and very sweet with them. They fell for you, but they just didn't act enough. This seems like madness, doesn't it? To me, it feels like madness, and I see it so often. I see it so often in people who... I don't get this. I think I've got quite a hungry nature, and when I want something, I may not go forward for it, but I know I'm going to get there in the end if I want it, if I really want it. I've got quite a strong desire nature, I think, and I see people who have reasonably strong desire natures, but they don't do it. I'm like, I can't believe you're not doing something. When you're actually that drawn towards something, and I don't know what's right, whether which way is right or which is wrong, to be honest. I think to live your desires is really important, not to get too attached to them. But this person feels like they haven't lived it as much as they felt that they should have done. And there's regret there. So do they think about you at all? Yes, they think about why on earth didn't they have more balls, really, male or female. It does feel like this. It's like, I wish I'd done more. But even that feels like they look at themselves. They're quite gentle with themselves with regards to not acting enough. I'm like, no, you should have done it. You should have said so. You should have done this. You should have moved. That's just part of the nature, I guess. Maybe that's the mutable parts of nature. It's just like, slides into one thing onto the next and doesn't have that fix that attaches to something and wants it. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, which one is right? Probably neither. I think it's good to go after, I'm going to do advice for both of you. It's good to go after what you want as long as you don't basically think, that is part of you, that is who you need to be, that's where you need to go. It's a case of just enjoy it anyway, I assume. I suppose their advice is to basically, in somehow from moving away from you, is to look at it intellectually and think, if this situation comes up again, what can you actually do? It's not a feeling of they shouldn't regret what they didn't do. It's a case of looking at it logically to see that it doesn't happen again. It's like a talking to by your mother. That type of thing, you know, I'm very disappointed in how you dealt with that. That type of thing. These are the steps you need to take next time. That's their advice. I wonder whether you feel a bit shut out by this person. Your advice is a playful attitude to it, and to get stuck into other things until, you know, until or if this relationship comes back if you want it to. But, you know, you've got to probably decide whether this person was assertive enough for you in the first place, because there's a feeling here of somebody that really, there's quite a problem with asserting themselves or holding on to things. Probably both. Probably both. So that may be just part of their personality anyway, because it's very strong. And your advice is, I wouldn't feel this. I wouldn't feel shut out, because it's nothing to do with you. I think it's so strong in this pile that this person is like this with every situation, every person. It's just part of who they are. And that can be quite nice. That can be somebody that doesn't really need people or need situations. So it depends on both your personalities there. There's never really a right answer with that bit there. And playful, you've got to be playful with the whole situation between the pair of you, and then there's a feeling here as well of getting engrossed in something else to keep your mind off it. Okay, pile number 2. I'm going to leave that there. I hope it helps. So is your person thinking about you? Yes, but with regret that they didn't do more. Right, I'm going to go because people are talking outside the door. Bye. This is an interesting pile number 3. This is somebody who I think gives me like a new age feel about them. You know, somebody who does yoga, or somebody that's quite interested in self-development. It doesn't mean that it has to be, you know, like meditating or anything like that. It's just a feeling of somebody that prides themselves in, it doesn't have to be new age, it prides themselves in how they've developed themselves, how they've developed their mind processes, how they basically react to people, and they do it in what I would say a very nurturing, I'm still here. Okay, let me start again. This person, I feel, has got a soft personality. Somebody who nurtures people, is very sweet-natured, probably very good-looking, and has what I would guess a inner quality of wanting to be better. This person feels like there's more to life. This person feels like they've got almost like an ear to the sky, I'm going to say ear to the ground then, with regards to how they can improve themselves and how they can improve humanity in some way. It's all rolled into one. They may not be that conscious about it, but it's a sweet personality, a soft person that wants to improve themselves and help each other in a very gentle way to help each other up. This isn't somebody who goes on rallies to for rights for humanity. This is somebody, I made that up, sort of rubbish, wasn't it? This is somebody who gently wants to push people forward and does the same with themselves. Then, this is where it gets interesting. The situation between the pair of you from their perspective has thrown them totally. It turns into what I guess from a very sort of gentle, laid-back nature to a very sort of philosophical outlook on life, probably to a very philosophical outlook on how to fall in love and who to fall in love with. It turns into what I would guess quite an uncontrollable passion. It feels like somebody has found you extremely physically attractive, been very drawn towards you with regard to your figure or your body or the way that you interact together, and in some way and somehow they feel as if they've been rumbled. You've got the Emperor card here among spiritual cards, soft cards, sweet cards, attraction cards, and it's right next to the card of what I would say is passion. This person feels rumbled and feels out of control. It's like somebody who has given themselves a persona that they think, yeah, that fits, that's nice, I'm going to carry that along with me, you know, I'm going to basically react to everybody in a very sort of grown-up way, and nobody can ruffle my feathers. And then you've come along and you've ruffled their feathers. So is this person thinking about you? Let's get to that. Let's get to that slowly. Their feelings are the situation is not there anymore. You've got the world and the Page of Wands. Makes me think that there may still be contact, but it feels as if somehow it's been wrapped up. And I'm wondering whether with the Lover's card, the Emperor card here, and this is an interesting feeling. It feels slightly amusing. I don't mean to, if the situation has made you quite sore in some ways, I don't mean to put that down or to make you, me look back and bad and you feel bad. It's just a feeling of somebody who has labelled themselves as something and had it upturned, which I think is good for all of us in some way in our life to put, because we all put labels around who we are, how we deal with things. This person has felt that they're quite controlled in life. This person's felt that they're a good person, and this person feels as if they're on a journey to get somewhere, which is fantastic. But then you've come along and rocked that. So in doing that, you've made them a bigger person because there's more parts to them. They're more versatile. They've almost a feeling of being woken up here. So I think that you've quite shaken this person. Their feelings towards you are you're not here. There may still be some contact, but this person feels like somebody, they do those cartoons and the birds are going around their head. It feels like you've left them like that. Their thoughts are for maintenance, I think, with regards to you. So are they thinking about you? Yes, they're trying to get back that feeling that they had before they met you, where everything was controlled and maintained. It's like pruning a garden. Those gardens where everything's in perfect place and there's a little flower bed with certain colours and then there's certain heights and things like that. And then you get wildflowers. This person's trying to get the trimmed garden border back. It's like, I know a Virgo friend who cuts his lawn with scissors. It's that feeling. It's almost, I'm not saying your person's, would do that type of thing, but your person feels as if they're thrown and they're trying to get back. What I guess is like a sweet feeling, but that sweet feeling, they've identified with it. They've identified by being kind and being attractive and being thoughtful and being wise, which is absolutely beautiful. And then you've come along and they felt passion and they felt attraction, and that doesn't really go with this feeling up here in their mind, possibly because these two they contrast to me quite a bit. Bad English there. So what do they regret? This person's stubborn. Your person, I think, is trying not to regret. They've turned inside themselves because they're trying to, and I wonder whether they do have that sort of philosophical bend where they're trying to organise in their head to make themselves grow more. But this could be somebody that doesn't have fire in them and actually needs to get stuck in the passion, because that is part of them too. You don't have to be one or the other. You can be both. Because the Hermit here, with regards to regret, is, again, and with the Devil here, which I'll come to in a minute, is somebody that's trying to intellectualize it again. They're trying to organize in their head. They're trying to understand it. They're trying to understand why they were so drawn to you. You always expect cards here where they actually muck something up. And I haven't got that feeling. And their past memories are the Devil. You've got the Emperor, you've got the Devil, you've got the Empress, and the Eight of Wands here. I'll get these cards up for you, which are totally different from your top cards. So when they're thinking about you, it's a huge attraction. It's like something they can't get out of their mind, and it's got a slight tinge of control about it. It's like they don't want to show you how attractive they are to you. And I'm wondering with regards to, your initial contact, or the contact that you're thinking about most, probably with regards to this person or this meeting or whatever you've had, they've revealed too much themselves here. And this person is normally very controlled. It's funny you've actually got the Lovers at the top here, because this feels as if it fits the Pals. And I was sort of ignoring the card, just the picture. They're trying. This is a stubborn personality who has formed their personality and said, and probably quite fixed in some way. Maybe Aquarius, maybe Taurus. that feeling of being quite fixed but nice with it, you know, fixed and it works, and that's why they want to keep it. And it's almost a I don't know whether there's something in this reading where they didn't want to show their feelings to you, whether there are complications. I can't see any here, but these cards here in stark contrast to these cards here, and they're followed by going internal, they're following by obsessive thinking about you, they're followed by a feeling of attraction that they can't get out of their mind, that they somehow have felt uncomfortable showing. So I don't know whether they've shown it in some way and thought, well, that's not part of me, it doesn't feel comfortable. It's like they're prepared to keep in contact with you, they're prepared to keep things open, but I think the situation that probably was a big situation to begin with has sort of tempered itself down in some way. And their thoughts are retreat and control. Really unusual, interesting part of this. So this person does think about you, but not as much as they think about themselves. And that's not in a selfish way. That is a way like when you feel like you can't breathe, you know, you feel like you're not yourself. And it's like a bit of like a panic attack type of feeling. As if they've gone blind, they're blinded by something that's happened, and it's that in that moment they're not themselves. But it feels as if they're not open to growth as well, and there's something within you and the attraction they felt to you, which is physical and strong, that has made them feel out of control. You know, this Cancer feeling here. And Libra's a funny one. Libra is a funny one with Venus there. I'm not saying it could be Taurus because it's fixed, but Libra's quite quite bossy. Consider they're so pliable. When they appear so pliable, they're very sort of like, yes, of course. But if you put Libra on the back foot, they come out fighting, which is something I don't think many people realise about Libras, that they're quite tough. They're not tough to begin with. You've basically got to push them until then you see it. And then the cardinal bit comes out, which to me does what it wants when it wants. Cancer as well. Stubborn. I know this isn't fixed, but it feels stubborn. It feels like somebody who has an identity that they have basically, that's quite embedded in some way, and you've tripped them up. It's like they see themselves as your person. I don't know if this is true. Could be in a situation where I'm just giving scenarios here. I can't see this in the pile. Let's just say a work scenario where they have to keep a certain face on, a public face on, and you've come in and it's made them feel uncomfortable because they've lost control in some way, or your person's married or in a relationship, the Lovers card there, and they've got to, they don't want to show passion because of respect for their partner, and it's rumbled them. And this person is obsessing over you and thinking about it, but they've retracted their energy in a way because it's made them feel they're putting on the Emperor mask of, I've got to get control of this, I've got to be in control. So do they think about you at all? Without doubt they do. It feels like a person that you want to shake. It feels like a person that, like own up to yourself type of thing. If you feel it, then say it. But it's difficult, isn't it? Perhaps I shouldn't have said that because I don't know what the scenario is, what this person's life circumstances are. And we all feel things that feel out of control that aren't really the right time or the right place to display our affections or our thoughts or even our anger. So I don't really know, but that's the feeling I'm getting from this pile number 3. So don't know if this feels right in some way. To me, to sum it up before I go, is somebody with a very strong view of themselves to be a particular type of person, a particular personality, that doesn't really or wasn't in the right time or the right place to be expressing passion, and they felt it, and they've almost felt as if they've been bamboozled in some way with regards to meeting you. They feel as if they've got to get control of themselves, and there's a lot of thought going on, and it's got a lot to do with the attraction towards you, which shocked them, I think, and it's got a lot to do with them feeling out of control with regards to that. So that's how they think about you. I'm going to go there, pile number 3. Thank you very much for spending time with me. Bye-bye.